Hey friends, this is Ms. Betterton from my car. I know, crazy. I think you may think that I'm trying to read to y'all from as many different places as possible, but here's what's going on. So, because I got cut off, it took me a little longer, and our sweet cleaning lady had to clean our house, and so I needed to get out of the way, and the vacuum cleaner going was making noise and everything, and I'm going to be heading to have lunch with a friend. And so I just thought, you know what? I'm going to record the 6th chapter from my car. Silly, crazy, why not? You can read anywhere. You can read at a pool. You can read in your bed. You can read in your car. I'm just trying to prove that to you right now, right here. All right, so I'm going to read chapter 6. It's called Annie, Roberto. Remember, Jack is looking for Annie and Roberto. So, here we go. This way I'll upload 2 videos today and you'll have 2 chapters to read today. So I apologize for the craziness, but hey, we're flexible. It works. It's good. All right, so chapter 6, here we go. Jack raced down the steep stadium steps, trying to get ahead of the crowd. But by the time he reached the middle section, he had to slow down. The aisle was packed with people buying sodas and flags and soccer caps from vendors. Jack couldn't get past the human traffic jam. He kept looking at his watch as he waited for the steps to clear. After almost 5 minutes, he squeezed through a gap in the crowd. A26, A26, he repeated as he struggled to get down to the sections near the playing field. Finally, Jack reached the last rows of section A. Annie? Roberto? He whispered as he looked down the steep rows of seats. All the wide-brimmed hats made it impossible to see. Annie! Roberto! Jack yelled. Annie! Roberto! There was no sign of them anywhere. Jack hadn't expected all the hats or all the people milling around, standing, stretching, talking to neighbors, coming and going. Jack looked at his watch again. There were 5 minutes left until the end of halftime. Stadium officials were telling everyone to return to their seats. Take your seats. Halftime's almost over. Take your seats. Jack didn't know what to do. Suddenly, he was caught in another traffic snarl as people started climbing back up to the higher tiers. Keep moving, an usher shouted at everyone. Keep moving. A huge roar came from the crowd. The players were taking their positions again. Kickoff. The second half of the game began. The Brazilian and Italian soccer stars were running in all directions, even peering through the crowd. Jack loved watching them up close. Suddenly, an usher was by his side. Where's your ticket? The man asked. Now's my chance, thought Jack. He showed his ticket. Please help me. I'm looking for A26, he said. My sister... A26? That's not your seat. Your seat's at the top, the stadium official said. Please go there now. Started Jack. But there's no time, barked the frazzled man. The game has started again. Go back to your seat. Jack did as the official said. Annie won't know why I didn't show up, he thought as he climbed the steep steps. She'll be really worried. He kept peering back down at the first rows of section A, looking for Annie and Roberto. Finally, Jack arrived back at the top of the stadium. He felt frustrated and anxious as he sat down in his seat. Not only would he never get a good look at the World Cup players now, but how was he going to find Annie again? Jack wished he had a cell phone, but he knew cell phones hadn't been invented yet. How did people ever find each other in 1970, he wondered. As the fans of the Brazilian team kept whistling and cheering, Jack caught more snatches of the radio commentary. Brazil attacks. Gerson scores long, low shot. Brazil keeps attacking, passing, dribbling. Jack barely listened to the game anymore. He was too worried about what to do when it was over. If the stadium was hectic at halftime, it'll be insane when the championship game ends, he thought. He had Merlin's magic mist in his backpack. Should he use it now? He wondered. What great talent would help him find Annie? What great talent would help them accomplish their mission? Pele follows with a hard shot. The radio commentator's voice crackled. Here comes Alberto! As the game went on, Jack couldn't stop worrying about finding Annie. She must be worried about finding me too, he thought. Knowing her, she might have tried to get help from the ushers or stadium guards. Maybe she talked to the police. Jack looked up and down the aisle for any officials who might be searching for him. 4 minutes left, the announcers finally yelled. Tostayo gets the ball, the teenager with binoculars yelled. Someone passes to Pele. Now Jairzinho has it. Brazil drives the ball and scores. As soon as it's over, I'll find seat A26, Jack thought. I'll keep looking as long as I have to. Jack just hoped Annie would wait at her seat. He hoped she had discovered the secret of greatness during the game. He hoped Roberto would stick around and take them back to the U.S. Embassy. Jack's thoughts were interrupted by a huge roar from the crowd. Final score, 4-1. The beautiful team has won. Champions of the world. Best World Cup of all time. All the spectators around Jack were screaming and jumping up and down and hugging each other. As Jack squeezed past the people in his row, the sportscaster shouted from the radio, Spectators are pushing past police and news reporters. Mobs are rushing onto the field. They're tearing off the players' shirts, their shoes. The fans have gone wild. Jack hoped that Annie wouldn't get impatient in all the chaos and leave her seat to look for him. They'd never find each other if they were both moving around. So here is the picture. You'll see Jack at the bottom. And I think I see Annie and Roberto right up there. And there's Jack. Hopefully they'll find each other. Have you ever been lost without a phone? We didn't have phones back in 1970, I can tell you right now. So it was kind of scary sometimes when you couldn't find people. Pele's team members have hoisted him onto their shoulders. Celebrations will go on for days. The players will be honored at a giant banquet tonight in Mexico City. Excuse me, Jack mumbled as he tried to move past people in his row. He made his way through the crowd of celebrating fans and started down the steep stairs. He was bumped and pushed by people spilling from the stands. He moved as quickly as he could so he wouldn't get trampled. Finally, Jack reached the lower section of seats. As he looked around, he was accidentally knocked over by rowdy teenagers dancing in the aisle, screaming and waving flags. He scrambled back to his feet and jumped onto a stadium bench. Finally, Jack saw them. Annie and Roberto. They were only a few rows in front of him. They, too, were standing on a bench, but they were facing the field, pumping their arms in the air and shouting and cheering along for the crowd. Jack was flooded with relief. But then he felt angry. Uh-oh. Do you remember? Did you read the book that we just read last week called What to Do When You're Angry? I wonder what he's going to do. What the heck, he thought. Annie wasn't searching for him at all. She didn't seem to be a bit worried. She looked like she was having a great time. Annie, Jack yelled. He hurried down to her. Annie! When Annie and Roberto turned and saw Jack, they waved happily. Oh, Jack, I'm so glad to see you, Annie shouted. We waited for you, but when you didn't come back, we figured your seat must have been okay. I hope it was. Well, actually, Jack shouted. Thanks so much for letting me keep my seat for the whole game, Annie shouted. Roberto and I had the best time. The game was incredible. Yes, Jack, shouted Roberto. I had the best time of my whole life, but I was worried about you. I hope your seat in the sky was good. Jack took a deep breath. Remember what to do when you get angry? Take a deep breath. And then, for the second time that day, he chose to do the right thing. Yeah, sure. My seat was good, he said with a sigh. It was fine. Totally fine. All right, that's the end of chapter 6. That was a short chapter. Whew. All right, so tomorrow we will read chapter 7 and 8, and it's called Bye Pele. So maybe, if they're saying bye to Pele, maybe they're going to be able to say hi to Pele, hopefully. Because remember, they've got to find the truth that Pele has to share with them. All right, Thanks for reading with me in my car with crazy Miss Betterton. All right, so tomorrow we will read chapter 7 and 8 and then finish it out with 9 and 10, and then we will start a new book next week. So I, again, apologize for the delay, and thank you for being patient with me. I hope that you've enjoyed maybe reading along without me. I'm sure a lot of you are really awesome readers, and you don't really need me. But I'm thankful to have friends to read with, and I hope that you have enjoyed reading with me. All right, y'all have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.